Hey Mustafa, nice to see you. Nice to have you here in my podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Ivan.
You're for the second time here in Bulgaria.
Yes.
How do you find it? Do you like Bulgaria?
Very much so. So I'm very happy that I'm having a little bit more time this visit.
Uh-huh.
And I managed to go around the city and Sofia, and it's very, very nice. Yeah.
Great.
Nice atmosphere.
So, you're comedian for how many years already?
I started in 2019, so that would be around 7 years. So a little bit before the pandemic. There was the pandemic, as everyone, we did less during that time, and then it kicked off more strongly in towards the end of 2021.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And you travel a lot. You do a lot of international shows. Actually, is everything international for you because you have a background in another country than in Germany? Is every show you do, you regard it as international, or is it more like home?
That's a very good way to look at it. Yes, because I mean, originally I am from Libya,
Yeah.
and I moved to Germany a while back. And even though that I'm doing shows in Germany and I'm touring around Europe, as you mentioned, and I'm of course performing as well in a language that is not my native language, so there is always that sort of probably an outsider look into the show and into what I'm doing. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and how many countries have you traveled already? Have you been to?
I didn't count yet, but in terms of cities, so the current tour, so the show that I'm doing, Almost Legal Alien, I'm performing in around 54 cities around Europe. So most
Nice.
like of the major European cities I'm going to.
Nice. And can you experience the cultures of all those cities? Do you have time to go and see and experience the culture, or is a comedian too busy to experience the culture of the new cities?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that I don't have somehow the time to, let's say, probably do like cultural activities in the cities that I'm going to. But obviously, doing a show, a comedy show, and spending an hour or 90 minutes, with the audience. To recap, usually as I am performing in English in mostly countries that their native language is not English, so you get a mixture as well of audiences, right? So you have, I don't know, around 50% natives or locals of that country or that city, and then you have some expats who are living there, right? So,
Yeah.
and they use English as well. So you get a bit of an exposure as well into the culture by just the fact of you being there. I do a bit of crowd work where I'm asking as well, like somehow a bit of differences. How does it feel to be in this city? If you recognize that there is someone who moved recently, what would be recommendations that other people would be giving them? So you get a bit of a feel as well. I do some research as well before doing a show. In terms of seeing the city, besides the show, I managed to get like a nice walk around the city. Usually try to stay in a place that is quite central, so I have a feel of the city, and get obviously a very nice local meal. So I always try to squeeze that in somehow.
Cool. You live in Germany now, in München.
Yes,
Actually.
I live in Munich. Yeah.
In Munich. How do you find the German culture and the German sense of humor? So,
Yeah.
Because everybody jokes that Germans don't have a sense of humor. Is that true, or?
100%. No, not to that extent, but obviously it's a different way of expressing, the laughter, right? So you have and a different expectations what people are coming for to see a show or a comedy show. So I think in Germany there is generally that attitude of it almost feels like there is a perception that this is a theater piece, and we're coming here to appreciate the art.
Do they dress up for the show? Or
No, not that bad, not that bad.
Okay.
But there is that, like, okay, let that person do their thing, and then sometimes in other places you have people who are a little bit more reactive, and they would like to be somehow also a little bit part of the show. So I noticed that last time I came here to Sofia, and I did the show at the Comedy Club Sofia. And when I was doing some crowd work or some of the bits, people really wanted to participate. somehow in
And
the
the
show.
Germans are not like that.
No, it's not like that. There is a little bit more of a distance. I like there is a one usually like an anecdote that I think about. So I performed in Germany for a longer period, and then at some point I went to do a show in the UK. And in Germany, I would say that the laughters are a little bit, tuned down in terms of a reaction. Like even if people are enjoying it very much, they would be more prone to expressing their enjoyment of the show after the show rather than laughing out loud during the show.
That's my biggest fear in comedy.
Yeah.
I fear those crowds that are,
Yeah.
it's great. Let's not interrupt the
Yeah,
comedian.
yeah. I like how you played with the words, but it works, and you get used to it, and it's like a different dynamic. And then I did, I remember a few shows in the UK, and people reacted. I remember the first show there was like a very big reaction, and I was like, this is what I'm looking for. People are laughing out loud, getting out their energy. And then a second time I did another show where I said something like a cliche of a joke, so nothing that special. And then I remember there was this lady in the first row, and she rolled her eyes at me when I said that thing. She was like, oh, like this guy is saying this, which is something that you would never get, like in Germany, it would be more tuned down. You can do your thing. But there, I remember in the UK, if you do something that they don't like, or at least in some instances like this, you have a reaction to your face, and I would never forget her rolling eyes. It's like, oh, I never told that joke after that. So,
Okay. Okay, so you've been to a lot of cities that are multilingual cities with a lot of expats in them, like Munich, for example, or Berlin is even more so, right?
Yeah.
But do you travel also to smaller cities that do not have that kind of expats and things like that? For example, in the mountains of Germany or Austria.
Yeah.
Do you visit those kind of cities?
I mean, I
well?
go to smaller cities, but not really, probably like the proper outskirts that that people do not know much about, or there aren't really a large population. But I visited probably like a couple of cities with around 200,000 inhabitants. There are still people who come. I went, for example, to a couple of cities in Bavaria, Landshut and Regensburg. I mean, there's a university, there's a bit of industry as well, but there are still smaller cities. And what happens in those places, because you don't have many people visiting internationally, or people who are performing in, let's say, a language that is not, for example, German or whatever, the country that you go to, there are some groups of people who come because they really appreciate you taking, the time and traveling the distance and coming to offer something. You have even sometimes people who do not speak, let's say, English very well, that they still come and they are still happy that you are there. So, but mostly I try to go to, places
Bigger.
where I would feel that there would be enough audiences that would come.
But Germany is such a big country, and the German-speaking world is actually even bigger.
Yeah.
For example, Austria, Switzerland, and Germany. These are three countries, and is the culture in those countries very different from one another, even though they speak the same language, and we regard them as the same kind of people?
Yeah.
For example, Germany has how many Bundesländer?
16.
16 Bundesländer. Are they different from each other, the Bundesländer and
Definitely. I think they are different. I'm not sure if it has more to do with let's say, the inherent culture of those Bundesländer regions, or the different, I don't know, if you go to Switzerland versus, Austria versus Germany, or more to do with the type of industry and the type of like way of life in that specific city or region, right? So if, for example, in Munich, it's a tech city, right? So you have many people working in tech. This is what probably the largest part of expats that are working there. They're very different, the type of people, for example, who live in Berlin, right? Which is more artsy, more people who are trying new things in their lives rather than establish somehow businesses. And I think the difference stems out of that.
So even if you're in one big country, this country might have different
Yes.
cultures and different.
Yes. Performing in Hamburg is very different than performing in Munich. I mean, you just
In what way? for example?
so like the type of audiences that you attract, right? So in Munich you get more of these techies that they are coming there. There's usually like part of sometimes like outing of a company that you have 3-4 people coming with their team lead, that they are like, okay, we're doing an activity for the team. Whereas you find, for example, in Berlin, I was there a couple of weeks ago, and the energy in the room is also different. They're probably more exposed to, as well, like in a place like Berlin, to more international, let's say, culture from that perspective, and the energy of the room is a little bit less restricted. So especially if you go in Munich and you are going out with your colleagues, to something, probably you won't let yourself go in the same way if you are going out with your friends, right? And something similar to Zurich, for example. If you compare Zurich, you have a little bit different energy to Munich, and let alone just like passing the border to Innsbruck, right? So in Austria, I mean, it's just 2 hours away from Munich. But I had a show there a month ago, and it was mostly young people from university coming to have a time out,
In Innsbruck.
in Innsbruck, yes.
It's
I
a
know.
beautiful city.
Oh my God, it's so nice. Have you been?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a small but very beautiful city.
Yeah.
I was in a hotel with a lot of flowers on the hotel. It
Yeah.
was very, very strange. I mean, it is not that small of a city, but it has this. It looks like a really small city.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
And for me, especially like someone coming from Libya, where let's say the terrain is more. I'm from Tripoli, so there's the sea and there is the desert somehow behind you, and these are the things that you are like probably most used to see. So you have the color blue and the color yellow somehow as a background usually. Whereas in Innsbruck, and it's like you are in the middle of the city, and then the mountains are there.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, is like a fascinating thing. I'm also still fascinated by seeing a lake till now, because I'm
Really?
not I'm not used to it. Especially if you say like there is a lake and then there are like you have the small hills around it and people are living there and you see the houses, and I'm like, I don't know.
We have a lot of lakes in Bulgaria.
There you go.
Actually.
I didn't know.
Yeah, we have this beautiful mountain with which is famous for the 7 lakes that are there.
Okay.
It's a Riwa mountain.
Okay.
And the region is called the 7 lakes of Riwa. It's
Okay.
very beautiful region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably that should be a destination for a comedy show next time.
Not a lot of people live there because it's a park. It's a national park, actually.
Yeah.
It's very, very beautiful.
I will translate the show into Bulgarian and hand them out the things
That would be
you
good.
read it
That
yourself.
would be good. That would be good. Okay. How did you decide where to go and live? How did you choose Munich for your hometown?
It was the reason actually.
Why not Berlin?
Yeah.
Why did you choose Munich and not Berlin, not Vienna?
Ivan, I keep asking myself every day, why did I do that to myself? Yes. Actually, that was like my reaction when every time I go to Berlin or to first time that I went to Vienna, I was like, oh, maybe I should have, done things differently, because I like Vienna so much. It seems to be like a very lovely place. But
it's not a lot of party in Vienna, actually.
Really?
My experience was like this. I used to live in Vienna until 2012.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a party city.
Yeah. Then you haven't seen
I've never been to Berlin.
Yeah.
But I think that Berlin is the party city.
Yes. It's the place where you can, just go wild a little bit.
Yeah.
But I moved to Munich to do a PhD, so I just for studying. Yeah. When I moved to Germany, I moved first to Cologne.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the master's there. So the reason that I moved to Germany was for studying.
In what field?
I did physics.
You do physics?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
My mother is a doctor of physics in Vienna, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. What a small world.
Cool. And how did you make that
Jump.
jump from physics to
I
comedy?
think I got traumatized enough out of academia, and then I was searching for something else. So
You chose the two most unfunny things, Germany and physics, and you became a funny person.
I've got to steal that and put it in the show. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I spent lots of time in academia. I was thinking that was like my life path for a very long time, and then after the PhD, I started working in private sector. But throughout the PhD, I can feel that this wasn't it. Somehow, a little bit, I was like, okay, this is something that I need to finish. I need to get it done, but there's something probably out there. And I was in search probably for quite a while for a different way to express. I think when I was younger, I was like painting or attempting to paint. I was attempting to play music, and I think like once you get a little bit older, I'm not sure how is the culture around that here in Bulgaria, but in Libya it would be like, I remember the first time that someone asked me, the family, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be a painter. And I was like, no, you want to be a doctor. And so they were telling me that. And then there was a phase I told you, like I played some music. What do you want to do? I was like, I want to be a pianist. And they were like, no, you want to be an engineer. This is what you want to do. So you get somehow molded into this sort of like, you need to have this safety thing to do in your life, engineering or a doctor. These are the two options that you can do back home, or you are expected to do. And I got into that path somehow. And throughout the PhD, I was looking for something else. So I tried so many different things. And then I tried, luckily, like improv theater. And I remember I went to see a show in Munich, and then they took my story and then they performed it live on stage, and the 20 minutes, and I couldn't believe that you could do that something like that was allowed. I was like, so I asked them, there was like a jamming session. I went, and then I did improv theater for a year and a half. And most of my performances that I was doing were comedic, so I had a friend of mine that we were doing as well improv together, and he pushed me to do stand-up comedy. He was like, you should try it out. And then I tried it out, and it was just like a match made in heaven. I was like, this is the best feeling in the world. I mean, it feels like a drug, as you know. And this is how I started with comedy.
Cool. We have this similar mindset in Bulgaria as well, that parents used to tell kids that they should do something that's very practical. For example, me, I never even had the option to become a comedian or actor or something like that. I've always known that I'll have a career in a bank, or I'll go work in a bank and then do this typical steps of the career, and will become those kind of Bulgarian Wall Street guys that you see in the movies. That's what our path was. So we go to high school, knowing that this is the path. We go to university knowing that this is the path. And one day when you're 30 years old, you say, okay, maybe that's not my path.
Exactly. I mean, once you reach a point where you see like what I'm doing now is gonna be the same thing for the next, 30, 40 years. This is, I think, when it hits, no?
But you should have seen the face of my father and mother when I told them I would become a comedian.
Oh my God.
My father even gave a bad example to my brother and sister. What do you want to do with your life? Become a comedian like your brother?
Is that the example of how
it was a bad example?
Yeah. And I did that for a while, and I was doing both. I don't know if you quit, and how did you do the transition? Was it like a smooth one?
I did a lot of money in the previous career. So I called it that I retire
Yeah.
and I go to pension. So this was my side hobby project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my career path in the other things helped me to organize everything and
Of course, yes. I
to-
mean, like I saw a friend says, like if you just answer your emails on time, and you are on the top of 75% of all
Wow.
comedians.
It was funny because the first time before I know you,
Yeah.
I didn't answer very fast to your emails.
There you go. You are at
Because
the
I
top
didn't
65, not 75.
because I didn't know what kind of person you are, and it is in our thing now that everybody calls themselves comedian.
Yeah.
You have to have some kind of you have to find out how to differentiate between real comedians, between people who are nice, people who know what they're doing,
Yeah.
and people who tried something today and they decided that they're ready.
Yeah.
and
Let me just go on a tour with 1 hour standing there in front of audience.
I don't perform good at open mics, but I'm
Yeah.
a real comedian already.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that. Yeah, that's funny because we're so different, but we have some very similar paths in
It's true.
our
Yeah.
life. And how do you feel? Today I talked to you about my German language, that I don't use it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad that I have this skill, but I don't use it.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you have this skill in physics
Yeah.
and you don't use it?
So happy.
Happy? How come, man?
No, I mean,
You invested a lot of years in that physics
yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
How many years did you invest in physics?
I think overall till the end of the PhD, probably university time and research, that was maybe 12 years.
12 years.
And after that 5 years, I worked in private sector and AI.
In the best
Field.
sector,
Yeah,
in the best field
Well,
possible.
it's yeah. But let's see. I mean, with the advances that are happening, it feels like probably being a comedian is a safer bet. Your job is not going to be taken by a robot.
Okay.
I'm actually like very, very glad that I don't have to deal with that world anymore, because the problem is that there is a lot of interesting things that you can do, of course, in this world with physics and AI and whatever. There are like many interesting topics and ideas that you can explore. But the problem is that it is embedded in, let's say, a setup and a system that is very boring, the corporate world where, so at the end of the day, if you're spending 8 hours, doing that thing, then mostly the interesting part is a very minor part of what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't miss it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you use it now in comedy in some way? Do you do some jokes about your background in physics or something?
Oh, I do a little bit. So in my solo, I do something about how I studied a lot, etc., and where I am now in comparison to that. But I think I didn't go into depth because a lot of the material that I'm using now, a large part of it was developed while I was still working.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to go probably and say something where my colleagues could have probably heard or something like that. So probably in the second hour, I would go maybe a little bit more
Cool.
against the tide and explore that.
Cool. Okay, so you decided to go to Munich.
Yeah.
And we talked about the different cultures in Germany, but do you find our culture to be very extremely different from the German culture? Bulgarian culture, is it very different from German?
So
What you see on the streets, when you go around the city and just see the people, is it very different?
I think visibly somehow there's a different way of life as well. I went yesterday.
Buildings are uglier, but
Buildings are grayer and uglier.
But the people?
But the people, I think, are a little bit more livelier. I feel that I have to say that after I said grayer and uglier. So no, for example, yesterday I was at a restaurant around town, and there were many large groups of people coming together as friends, and you can see that the energy is different. So there is a little bit more louder, a little bit more livelier, a little bit more I don't know, having probably an energy for life that it's a little bit different than this sort of a little bit subtle, and we just speak with the quieter voice. And I remember, and I'm looking forward as well to the shows now this round. I remember at the show it was a similar energy where people wanted to participate, where people like somehow got the game that you are doing and they wanted to play along right with you. Yeah,
cool. And do you find some similarities with Libya, for example? Do we have something similar to Libya, or is it totally different? What's life there? What are people like?
Yeah. So I would say that Libya is more similar to Bulgaria than it is similar to Munich. In that
I
perspective.
expected that.
No, I'm not sure if Bulgaria is more similar to Libya than to Germany, but Libya is more similar to you than Bulgaria, if that makes sense.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you have the proximity, you have as well like European culture that is probably like closer to you, but Libya definitely would be closer to Bulgaria from that perspective, because I think it has to do with how we have grown up, no? So, I mean, probably it was in the communist time in Bulgaria. We had as well during Gaddafi, a socialist, let's say, upbringing and way of life. And I think you have a certain, let's say, dark humor that is coming out of that. That it's or self-deprecating dark humor that it makes it very different to a place like Munich. No, yeah.
Okay. So, do you feel welcome when you go to ex-communist countries that have this background? And
I mean, I'm not sure if I feel that the people are more welcoming to me because of it. But there is a bit of familiarity that you can recognize, and somehow probably this could translate as well to how you relate with people. But unfortunately, I didn't do many shows or spend so much time here in Bulgaria to be able to.
Because if I see you on the streets and I don't hear you talking,
yeah,
I can assume you are a Bulgarian. Actually,
I heard that. Yeah,
you might be a Bulgarian, you might be a foreigner, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But the Germans, they how do they behave
towards me?
To an expat, to a person who is not. Have you witnessed some?
Yeah, I'm definitely visually very like an outsider or an outlier in Germany or in Munich in comparison to here. In Munich, it's a very international city, so I think like 38% of the population are
38%.
38, yeah, are expats.
Wow.
Or with migration background. So you don't feel that, and especially if you are in the city center, you're not confronted with it. But every now and then you deal with people who see you as an outsider. And I think especially the older generation, somehow you have this sort of like a different way with dealing with you. I have this thing, a story with my tax office in Munich, and I was dealing with someone who was relatively like young in age. So on the telephone, like I had my tax declaration and I was asking questions. She was answering. I speak German, but I'm not fluent in German, so you can hear that I am not a native speaker. And when she was answering certain things, she was sometimes like angry at me, but she was like looking at, like talking to me eye to eye, right? She was recognizing that there is something off, but and she wants to help, but she was like almost like a bit frustrated, but it's eye to eye, right? Like, no, you should do it this way. It's like you're talking to a friend, right? And then after a while, it changed to someone who's quite older in age. You can hear it in the phone. And she was speaking to me as if I have just landed from the moon
Oh,
to Germany, to Munich. And she was like, you know, like the type of conversation, I was like, I'm asking about something specific. And she was like, because we in Germany, when you have income, you need to pay taxes.
oh.
You know,
She was mansplaining things.
yeah. She was German-splaining, yeah.
German.
And that energy somehow, this sort of subtle patronizing way of dealing with you, you feel it every now and then.
Okay.
You know that it comes, but it comes from a certain
Older generation.
yeah. Younger people, I think they recognize that it's
Yeah, we people after the millennials and onwards,
Yeah.
they everywhere they grow up the same way, maybe, or I don't know.
yeah, very internationalized.
maybe
yeah.
you've seen the Disney movies when you
Exactly.
were a kid, and
Yeah, we all have seen Friends. We
Yeah,
know, you know,
yeah.
the type of jokes that we can relate with. Exactly. Yeah.
cool. What other countries do you visit in Europe now with comedy? Where do you
Yeah.
apart from Germany and
So
Austria?
yeah, there is. I mean, the usual suspects, no, as you mentioned, like Germany, Austria, Switzerland is a very somehow a very nice comedy scene. But what I am happy about discovering, which is like relatively recent as well in the tour, coming to Sofia, which was a very beautiful surprise. Sofia, Bucharest were very good experiences and places that I haven't visited before. And then as well the Baltics. So Estonia,
Baltics,
Latvia,
really?
yeah, I did. I was like, okay, I mean, let's just do it and go for it. And I was like very positively surprised.
We know almost nothing about them.
Me neither. Yeah,
Really?
I was like mixing Latvia and Lithuania till very recently.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Is it very similar to here, to Bulgaria? Over there?
No, I think you can see that they are a little bit more Nordics in terms of energy and in terms of like what we were saying about, you know, Germany and being a little bit more reserved. You can see that energy there than here, where it's a little bit more lively.
Because they used to be a part of the USSR.
Yeah.
And I thought that they're very similar, but
No, not that somehow like a close energy, like lively energy, not that much.
more like Norway than Bulgaria. right?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say so. I would say
Cool.
so. Yeah. But the shows people were nice, very friendly during the shows, and the reaction was also like very nice.
Cool. And what about France? Have you done something there?
I haven't done a single show in France.
Nobody does
I'm
shows
like
in France.
just jumping around.
Yeah. How come nobody goes to France?
Everyone is having the same problem. Yeah, I
They
think
don't like English, or
I think that's a large part of it is being able to get a venue and perform in English, unless you are a megastar. If you're a megastar, then you can get it in larger cities. But otherwise, you get the answer, we only accept in French.
because I know that they have a lot of expats. They have
Of course.
a lot of people who are not French,
Of course, yes. But
and still don't like English.
but fun,
Even the expats there hate English. And
even yeah, they managed to get into their heads. Yeah.
okay.
Even in my shows, to be honest, like I'm going all around, I'm asking about, you know, nationalities of people, where they're coming from during the shows, and you have people from all over the world. I think one of the let's say smallest groups that I get nationalities is French.
Although France and Germany have a border.
Yes,
so
very
neighboring
close.
countries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get very small number of French people in shows.
And what are the most typical audiences apart from German people in Germany?
Yeah.
What would be the second most popular nation to visit a show in
Yeah.
Germany?
I think Italy.
Italy?
Yeah,
Really?
there are many. I think a lot of Italians that obviously live in Germany, but a lot of Italians come to shows.
Are they more like us? More?
Yeah, you have
yeah.
that sort of more Mediterranean flair,
Uh-huh.
somehow energy. But it's of course also interesting in the sense of that stand-up comedy. I think we spoke about that is also relatively new in Italy in comparison to maybe other places as an art form. So I was in Italy. I did a few shows within the last month. I can't remember exactly, and I went to a few cities. When I was performing in English, it was what you would expect from a stand-up comedy show. But then I speak a bit of Italian, and I did the set in Italian after the show. So there was like an Italian show, and I did the set, and people clap when there is a punchline. When they like the punchline, they're clapping rather than laughing.
Okay.
So you say something, and they were like,
It's strange.
it's a strange thing. So you need to get used to it. Okay. But otherwise, when you are doing these sort of like shows in English in Germany or whatever, you have a substantial amount of Italians, because many Italians, they go to research centers and an industry in these bigger cities. So they are looking for something probably that speaks to them and they can relate with, and as a cultural activity, so they come. So Italians, there is a lot of Italians. And then you have a bit of also like Anglo-Saxons, no? So native English speakers. You have British or Americans as well that they come to shows. But
Yeah. And how did you decide to start doing it in English? Because you lived in a German-speaking country.
Yeah.
Because it's bad for us Bulgarians that our language is only understood by 6 million people here in the country and maybe 10 millions all over the world in total. And English is this language that you can perform in every country in the whole world, especially in front of young people. Almost everybody speaks English nowadays. How did you have the balls and the courage to start doing this in English in a German-speaking country?
Yeah. So I think like the main thing. So in 2019, there was only one regular weekly open mic in German in Munich, right? And the first set I did it in English. There was like a show every 2 months. So I did that once, and then I did that the second time. But then I was like, okay, in order to get on stage, I need to probably perform in German because there's the weekly one. Yeah. So I started performing in German, the first 10 sets or something like that. And then I can see that I don't have the ability to improvise in the same way that I would have done in English. So we started an open mic, and it was weekly, and this is how somehow like it now you can perform in English almost every night of the week in Munich. In terms of like why somehow wanting that language, I consumed so much American TV, like probably most of us, so all the classics. This is how I learned a large part of my English as well. So there were like many TV shows that I was watching when I was younger, and I was sometimes like repeating them just because I didn't know the word and everything. And I think a large part of that somehow gets transferred to you, also in the sense of humor. So there's a lot of things that probably Americanized. I don't know, if you're watching Friends so many different times, then there's a sense of a humor that is shared with everyone, who would get that. And I think, consuming stand-up comedy in English, all the sitcoms in English, it makes it a little bit easier for me to...
But did you believe that it will work out and that you will have this opportunity to make a career out of it?
It's a bit tricky, right? Because the competition is just unbelievable in English. I hope so. I mean, I'm enjoying it very much. And even though that the competition is very high in that language, I'm still trying and hoping that I'm offering a perspective that it's also not shared by everyone else, right? So even though the language is the same, but there is still like something that I'm offering that it's a little bit different than others, right? And there's always probably a niche or a space for something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as a fan, do you watch German comedy as a spectator, as an audience?
No,
No?
no.
No?
I watch it. I watch it live because
Uh-huh.
I am like operating there in the German scene as well. Sometimes, like I do the English shows. If there's a live show performances, people that I know, I would watch, but I don't sit down and say, there is a comedy special in German, so let me put it on and watch it. Till now, I still haven't done that.
When I used to live in Vienna,
Yeah.
there was absolutely no stand-up comedy back then. But it was because Vienna was more conservative, and there were a lot of cabarets
Yeah.
and things like that. And we watched a lot of German TV from Germany,
Yeah.
not Austrian TV, but German TV.
Huh.
Like Pro7, for example,
Yeah.
or Sat.1,
Yeah.
RTL. And there were some quasi stand-up comedians, but they were mostly actors who were very famous and decided to do an hour or something written by somebody else.
Yeah.
For example, back then it was Cindy aus Marzipan or something like that.
Okay.
This was a person in character.
Yeah.
Back then there was this Stefan Raab, but I don't think you have heard of him.
No.
He was a very big TV host
Okay.
back then. And actually the world champion for the record-breaking stand-up comedy show,
Yeah.
the biggest audience, was Mario Barth, who was a German TV host and comedian and personality. And he did this biggest show. Slavi, you can check how many people were at the biggest show. I think 120,000 at a stadium.
Oh my God.
Yeah, at a stadium. It is very strange because stadiums are not built for comedy.
Yeah.
Although some American comedians also do stadiums, like Kevin Hart, for
Yeah.
example. But in the stadium, it was like he's telling a joke. The first part of the stadium laughs and stops laughing. Then the second part laughs and stops laughing. And it was very, very funny because it was like, okay, they do comedy like they did the Führer's speech in the. It was very.
It's time to have fun.
Yeah. And that was very strange to me. I see now that there is a big stage.
Yeah.
But mostly for English stand-up comedy.
No, there is like the German scene is exploding.
Oh.
Yeah. No. There is.
Who are the biggest names in stand-up comedy in German? Sorry.
No. It's nothing comes to mind, but there are like so many somehow touring comedians as well. Of course, going to the German speaking circle as well. Going to.
Do the big comedians come to the small clubs as well?
Yeah. Of course, yes.
Cool.
So you, if it's a cool club, so there is. I mean, in Munich there is the Lucky Punch Comedy Club, 140 seater, and you have bigger names as well coming there. So they're going around. There is a big scene. Almost everyone knows stand-up comedy in Germany or what that means. I remember in 2019, I think I told you that already. When you tell someone that is stand-up comedy, they were like, "Oh, is it poetry slam?" As if like you're gonna make a speech. But now people are aware, especially after the pandemic. I think probably happened everywhere. Probably the same thing in Bulgaria, where everyone got exposed, to stand-up comedy and crowd work clips and everything from social media. That people are aware of it. But there is I don't know, Felix Lubrecht, one of the biggest names now in the German scene, touring, and they can do, or he can do, like whatever size of audiences that he would like to do.
So if I come to Munich,
Yeah.
what would be the best place to go and see some German-speaking stand-up comedy?
I would say the Lucky Punch Comedy Club.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
This would be the
And what would be the best place to see English stand-up comedy?
English stand-up comedy. So there we have a new English-speaking comedy club in Munich. It's called the Jungle Comedy Club, and they have shows Friday and Saturdays of the week in English. But also at the Lucky Punch Comedy Club, we have, which is a night that I organize with a friend of mine. On Mondays, we do shows in English. So every Monday, there is a show in English. And then you have sometimes the visiting comedians as well, that they do shows at the Lucky Punch Comedy Club every Sundays, so you have some traveling names that are coming to the city.
It's funny because now stand-up comedy is bigger than ever.
Yeah.
And still I feel that it is getting more and more difficult for new comedians to if you started in 2019. But if you started today, I feel it would have been more difficult for you to
100%
to make this this transition.
Yeah,
Right.
I think so. I think you're right, and I think there is probably I had the advantage that there wasn't a scene at that time in Munich, and then I was part of this establishing the first weekly club, etc. That puts probably on one side more pressure, and there's more attention because it's something that it's not available there. No, so there was an advantage around it. I think now because when you are like performing in a language of not the country that you are living in, then you don't have industry that it's developed enough in order to support you. So you need to do everything on your own. So it's not like being in the UK where there are always these competitions and I don't know, an award for best newcomer, an award for best blah blah blah. And when you have this sort of like ecosystem around you, you can somehow go up even with doing less effort, and you focus more on the comedy and the content. Whereas to be able to start touring and everything, you need to do everything on your own.
Yeah. When I organize open mics, for example, my goal is to find people who are really funny and help them develop their comedy and to develop their name and develop everything. But I feel that a lot of open mics nowadays are not organized in that with that in mind.
Yeah.
But just some pub to fill a night
100%,
and to get money from your friends who will come and see you.
Yeah.
And to get the drinks from them. And then they don't care about you on the next or if you bring friends, they will care about you, but only in that respect. They don't care about your career. They don't care about if you become better and things like that. So that's the very, very strange, because the concept of open mic should be that you have the opportunity to go on stage, to experience the live audience, and to start developing your comedic character and and your craft and everything. And I think that when comedy clubs did this, they cared about things. But nowadays, a lot of bars do it. The people there, they don't care about comedy at all. If jazz would fill up the night, they would do jazz nights. But
I mean, it's something I notice it even in myself, right? So just to be as well, like very, very honest about it. We started this comedy show called Medium Rare Comedy Club, where we were doing the open mic on a regular basis. We did them even like at some point 3 times a week in Munich in different places. And I remember it was a stage or a few years where I really somehow also spent time into giving feedback to comedians that they wanted the feedback, and it was more about the development of the jokes and the development of your voice and etc. But then I reached a point where it became as well somehow too much to care, if that makes sense.
Right.
And I noticed it in myself. It wasn't a conscious decision, but I just had less time. And it was more like, okay, we have the show now because we said that we're gonna do the show, and I'm organizing it, and let's do it. You do your thing, and then bye-bye. I need to leave now because I have other things to do.
I see.
And I became a little bit more desensitized into what was the night supposed to be about. And it's more about, okay, let's do it and get it done and move on.
So success might also be a bad thing, right?
Yeah, because you're moving on, right? You're moving on, and you're like, okay, I mean, I have other things to focus on, and I wonder what is the right equation, for it, right? Is it like how can you do a setup where you're like you continue caring? I mean, that would be amazing. You do that as well, like open mic nights at the club?
We have some open mics because we want to never stop searching for new talents.
Yeah.
Because we have great comedians right now.
Yeah.
But if we stop searching for new talents, I feel it
gets
will
stagnated.
be start dying. The whole thing.
And the general, how would you think about the comedy industry here in Bulgaria? Is that something like?
Well, maybe it's a mixed blessing. It's a blessing in disguise that we're a small community because we still care about everything. I know all our comedians so well. I have time for them, and maybe if it was a big country like Germany or even bigger, maybe I would not care about them so much, and maybe there will be so many that I will not know their names and things like that. But in that we are a small country, I care about everyone, and we don't have this big audience of 100 million people in the country, for example. Like Germany is 80 million people in Germany, and with Austria, it's 100 million in German-speaking world. So we only have 6 million people in Bulgaria, and we only have access to the bigger cities, which is 3 million maybe.
Wow, it's
in
true.
total.
It's true.
And we have to offer them always something new.
Yeah.
Because people now they understand, but in the past they used not to understand that you repeat the jokes. Some people thought that your material is on Monday you come up with that stuff. On Tuesday it's totally different.
Yeah.
And in a week you have 7 new hours of material.
Yeah.
And stand-up comedy is better when you practice your material, when you
get used to the rhythm, you repeat it, of course.
And that's the difference between the bigger markets and the small market. Because if we lived in America and if we were famous there, I think with 1 hour of material you can tour 3 years every
100%.
night in different cities. Especially in the size of Plovdiv, for example, where you're tomorrow. There, how many cities are like that?
Of course, yes.
Maybe 1,000 cities or maybe more in America, and you can tour 1 or 2 years with the same material,
some
and
people
nobody will see it twice.
Especially in the metropolises there, some people do it, I think, like the same jokes for 10 years or so, no?
Yeah, Seinfeld used to say that he's doing the same jokes for 10 years.
Yeah.
And this is impossible here.
Yeah.
And also that one comedian might go into this crafting similar jokes all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And we try to get out of this doing. I do it also sometimes.
Of course.
I do 1 hour of jokes, and then the second hour is so similar to the first hour that it's not really different. And I don't like this one. I like when it's different.
Yeah. The thing is that sometimes it's just because you have like a premise in the idea of the joke, and then because you performed it so many times, you're like, oh, I could tackle this from a different angle. No, and then you bring that angle, and then you don't know if that new angle should be already in the first show or it could be in a new show, right?
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But if you bring a new angle, it's good. It's bad if you do the same angle over and over.
Yeah, of
and
course.
over
Yes.
again.
That's always the question, is that how you push yourself to do it, right? Because sometimes there is comfort to having something that it's written and it's working, and you're like, oh yeah, but I'm doing the show in a month and I'm gonna do the same thing. How do you push yourself to say, I am stopping? I mean, Louis C.K. has this thing that he did the same hour for 15 years, and then, or at least variations of it. And then at some point he was like, I need to move away. So someone advised him, and he recorded it and he released it.
Yeah.
And then he said, okay, now I need to start over. And this is how he started writing, a new hour every year, right?
Yeah. It's so bad to see disappointed faces who hear the same jokes.
My God, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
We have some fans that like your things so much.
Yeah.
That they're, oh, when are you on again? And you're on Friday again.
Yeah.
They come on Friday and they're, oh, that's so bad. It's the same.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You liked it so much that you're disappointed now.
Yeah, and that look never leaves your mind, out of the guilt. I have, I think with the current hour, there were like different versions of it, but it's still like, the same thing. So I did Work in Progress, and it was under a slightly different name. And then I did it once, and then I just had to change the name like after 3 months. And I changed the name, and someone came and she was like, I'm looking forward to the new hour. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, there. And I was like, it's the same. It's like, no, but that one was cool. It's like, no, it's the same description. It's the same thing. That was Work in Progress. And she was like, oh, okay. Well, you're always creative. So, and it was like the same thing, so yeah.
Once I had this guy in the front row who was with crutches. How do you call it?
Clutches, yeah.
Crutches.
Yeah.
And so we did a lot of, I did a lot of jokes. I did jokes about the crutches and everything, and some crowd work as well. And then the show is over, and then we have a second show.
Okay.
And I start the second show. I do some crowd work with the first row and things, and I see, wow, a second guy with a with crutches. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I start the jokes, and then I realize that these are the same. It's the same people.
Yeah.
Not only him, but the whole table is the same. 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
Totally the same on first row.
Yeah.
They just heard the same jokes.
Yeah.
The opener was the same opener.
Yeah.
So now in the second show, they heard the same opening jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I start doing crowd work, but I start with similar questions to the first show. And then I realize, and then I said, oh, guys, are the same guys from the... Yeah, we're... Why the F do you come to the second show? We thought it's different.
Yeah. And now they ruined the magic for themselves as well.
And then I thought, okay, now I'll give you a different show, but it will be worse than previous. So just because of them, I changed the show and it was worse than the
Of
first
course.
one.
Yeah.
Worse for everybody.
Yeah.
But it was, people should understand that it's better. You can get different or you can get good.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. 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 Do you do like these sort of improvised shows? Like
No, not really. If it's material, we have new material nights,
Yeah.
which is work in progress.
yeah.
And that's the only new material. If we do regular shows, you can do very solid material,
Yeah.
new material,
Of course. Yeah. You
very
sandwich
solid
it. Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
And that's the way it works. And I tell the new comedians always, if the new material doesn't work at all, just continue with the solid material
course, yeah.
again. And it's very bad when new comedians don't have the feeling when it's not working, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because if one person laughs because you're cringe,
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't mean it's
Of course. Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
material.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people, even if they get laughs only because they are cringe,
Yeah.
they think it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I know
So
what
they
you mean.
go on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we are all delusional in that extent. No, it's
Yeah.
very difficult as well to measure. And sometimes people feel, as you said, cringe, or they just want to support you and everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, that bit is great. I'm like, no, it sucks.
But maybe it's a part of the thing, because if we are not delusional, we should have stopped at the first open mic.
100%. Yes, yes, yes. That's why I think all of us are delusional from that
Yeah.
perspective. Yes, it's true. It's true. How do you remember your first time that you went on stage?
The first time, no, but the first joke that I thought it's successful, I
Yeah.
remember it. It was about do you know the Subway chain with sandwiches?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was about the cliche about small and big one.
Okay.
The bread and things like that. So this was the first joke that I thought was successful.
Yeah.
And now when I hear it, because I have it recorded, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I know the cringe. Oh yeah.
That was not good.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
That was not as deep as I thought. it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. It's like, oh my God, I'm challenging, the
Yeah,
industry. Yeah.
Yeah. But here, for example, it was very difficult to start to bring a curse word on stage, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
at the beginning, because people were used to theater only,
Ah.
and offensive language was not
Interesting.
designed for stage. And I really believed in using bad words as well, because I have been a fan of George Carlin and people like that, and one of the shows of George Carlin defends
Yeah.
offensive language,
The seven
dirty
yeah.
words you cannot say on TV.
Yeah.
And I was always with that philosophy that not everybody should do offensive words.
Yeah.
But if you do, it's okay. If you don't do, it's okay. Everything's okay. It's freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and everything. And when people started frowning at bad words, it was some kind of personal challenge to make them stop frowning at that. And I didn't understand that there is this mastery of a thing. I thought that me saying bad words at my first open mic is equal to George Carlin.
Of course. Yes, I know what you mean.
When he was 30 years in that industry.
Yeah.
And with time, I understood that every word is okay if you
say it.
If you say it right, if you have a nice idea, if you have if you know why you're saying that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's always the, I mean, the delusion that we have ourselves, and sometimes you see as well with the newer comedians. They're like, oh yeah, it's just the women in the audience. They cannot just take jokes in the same way. And I was like, no, it's not women. It's
Yeah.
you saying it, you know, in the wrong way. You know. Yeah, yeah. And
One of our greatest comedians at the start, he was like, people don't understand my deep jokes. And I was like, okay, just get them better.
yeah,
And you'll see how in 3 years people will get smarter
yeah,
and they will start understanding your great
yeah,
jokes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and that happened 3 or 4 years later.
yeah.
Everybody understood his deep
Of
jokes.
course,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it takes a long time to be able to, you know, say tricky things without offending people.
Yeah, and what's in your head and what comes out of your mouth
Of course.
might be different things.
Of course, yes, 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 100%. Yeah.
Did you have a lot of people get offended?
Not anymore. I think it's the same thing what you are describing with
Uh-huh.
that person with the 3 years. That's exactly happened with me. So I think I think from the get go I don't go for like really offensive stuff, but
But
I
stereotypes, when you do stereotypes.
yeah I played the line. I played like on the edge, you know, where you don't understand, and it took me a while to be able to communicate where I stand on that line without them having to be, you know, offended. So they
Yeah.
know where I stand on this, and I'm just like, okay, you need to trust me, and I take you on that journey.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case at the beginning. So even in the formulations and everything. So I have this bit, and sometimes it's just like really small touches, you know, that you do, and sometimes you get again delusional because of the setup and the environment that you have. I have this bit where I do meditation with the audience, right? So I do like close your eyes and we do that meditation, and the meditation goes into like really unexpected, let's say, directions when I do it. When I was doing it at the beginning, when I first done it, I done it like in the comedy show that I was hosting. And usually people knew who I was because I was the host and I was doing the show on a weekly basis. People trusted me, and the bit was amazing. You know, people were reacting to it. It was very positive. And in my mind, this bit just works the way it is. It's perfect. Then when I started touring, when you go to places that they have no idea who you are, they never seen anything, they just trust you and come to see the show, sometimes the bit doesn't work. And I'm like, I don't understand. And I remember someone at some point, she walked out of the show while I was doing the bit. I was like, I don't like, this bit kills back in Munich. Is it that Munich people are like more wild? And what happened is that I was doing the setup in the wrong way. I was like, okay, let's do the meditation and we go on. And just because people knew me, they knew that I'm not gonna do something bad, no, even if it goes into a unexpected territory. And then what I changed is that I do that meditation on a daily basis. This is my special thing, and I'm gonna share it with you. Just by the fact that I say that I do it to myself,
Yeah.
people are like, okay, now we accept it. Wherever it goes, this is what he does to himself, and it became okay, right? But it takes a long time to be able to, for different bits, to arrive at that stage where like, okay, that you communicate where the lines of the bit is, no?
Mm. Do you do some comedy in Arabic language as well?
I haven't done it. I would love to. I think I'm a little bit worried because of the dialect. So we have different dialects, right, in the Arab world. And I mean, there are 22 Arab countries. You have different regions, and Libya is a very small country. So now we are around 8 million people.
Oh, it's like
It's
Bulgaria.
very similar to Bulgaria. And culturally, it wasn't a country that was producing TV or radio, or there's some music, but not more than that. Or all the productions are very local. So people are not used to the dialect.
Nice.
Even though I don't think it's a difficult dialect. So I'm a little bit worried about how how that's gonna be understood, from the other side. If I need to change the dialect a little
I
bit,
see.
which I can do when I'm speaking in normal language. Um, I still want to try it, but I still haven't done that. But there is also still, like, in the Arab world, a bit of like a, let's say, an awakening when it comes to stand-up comedy. So it's still a very fresh art form that is being introduced, and you can see that there are certain places where it's really popping in a very nice way.
It's very strange because the Arabic countries are so different in their rules and
Of course.
strength
Yeah.
of the rules. But still, Saudi Arabia, for example, they did this big scene of
Yeah.
stand-up comedians that all the most offensive
Yeah.
American comedians went to
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, and this was okay.
Yeah.
So I don't understand always what's okay and what's not okay,
Yeah.
because a lot of things I thought are not okay for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Then how then do those comedians go
I
there and
know.
tell their jokes?
I mean,
there?
they have like a really vibrant scene. I think in Riyadh, for example, they have like a comedy club, people doing their jokes, doing their thing. I think there are different layers, no? So there is the political layer, what you see from outside. There is the layer between that political layer and the people, and then how the people are living. And I think in a place like probably like Riyadh, where most people speak English, they're exposed to American TV, etc. There is a different tolerance to what you are allowed to say, and then a big distinction as well is what an outsider is allowed to say versus someone from your circle is allowed to say. So if you have an American comedian coming, even if they don't have to be like a big name, so they are allowed to say whatever. But even if it's a smaller comedian, that person is allowed to say more things just because they are outside of the herd than if someone that you might know and they say something that it's offensive, to us. Yeah. So I would say the rules probably are a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I understand you, because people here react to expats a little bit different than to local people. Okay, cool. Good. Are you now scared of that AI thing going on, and about future of comedy? What do you think?
I think what's going to actually, I feel more positive when it comes to the future of comedy as a result of AI or what's happening than I would have been a few years back. Because I think we will need more and more things that would allow us to have a connection with other human beings than otherwise. And I think stand-up comedy is a great medium for being able to do that. So I think there would be, I would hope, at least this is at least a lie maybe that I'm telling myself, there will be more increase in what people that are being interested in going to comedy shows and having that a human connection, being able to stay away from your phone for a bit and not being on a screen the whole time, than it would have been otherwise, just because of the acceleration of things. In terms of actual comedy and generating somehow content, you still need someone to perform it. So till now, I don't know if you use or you try to use ChatGPT, but I try to use it just to see the extent of where it comes or where it arrives at in terms of comedy. It doesn't work, to generate bits with ChatGPT. Just always, like you say, the thing, and then it explains to you. And this is why we like to eat chocolate. You're doing that sort of almost like in a primary school sort of summary of what you're saying. But even if we assume that with large language models, we will arrive at a point where it can write really good jokes, I think you still need someone to perform it.
Yeah, but maybe actors will take over it sometime.
And to be able to,
yeah.
I think it's a different game.
We'll see. Okay, and one last thing. You chose your new home to be Europe.
Yeah.
how do you feel about Europe now that we're so divided on some
Yeah.
topics, and so um, is it funny to you that every country wants to be great again and not be a part of a great thing? And do you see this?
I see.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah, it's definitely the way that I look at Europe is very different before the pandemic than after the pandemic.
Mhm.
Not because of the pandemic, but just politically where it stands. And and I have to say, I'm not like I don't have this sort of like a pink glass that I'm looking through it and everything seems to be flowery and nice. We don't know what's going to happen. I think in terms of comedy, there is still a very good need, for jokes and to be able to laugh at what's going on and what's happening. But I definitely feel a little bit more suspicious to the future in comparison to before. And this sort of every country wanting to be somehow different than other places. Let's see where it leads to. There's definitely forces that are going into a different direction. No, that question marks about what the US is doing and what does it mean as well for the future of each country, and maybe that shouldn't be the way that we move towards. But I'm less positive, let's say, about the future
No.
than than I used to be. Yeah. How do you see it?
It's strange because I see this as a great opportunity
Mm.
to be a part of something big.
Yeah.
Because we compare ourselves to the United States, right?
Yeah.
And if our country, Bulgaria, is alone, it's like one city in the United States.
Yeah.
6 million people,
Yeah.
the whole country. And if we want to compare to the United States, we have to be a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
Like Arkansas is a part of something bigger, the
Yeah.
United States,
Yeah.
right? But some people in Europe see this as
A way to erase the identity.
yeah. And it's very difficult to balance between those two things
Yeah.
because I love Bulgaria.
Mm.
I love the fact that I'm a Bulgarian. I like my fellow Bulgarians.
Yeah.
But I also love Europe.
Yeah.
I feel European and I want to be part of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there is a contradiction between being a Bulgarian and being a European. But a lot of people think it's a contradiction and it's a traitorous
Yeah.
act to your country if you feel like you
Yeah.
want to be a part of Europe. That's the thing I don't like. I feel sad about it. One of the reasons we're communicating now is that we are in Europe, we're part of it, we are doing this project, exchanging European comedians and things like that. And I think it's good for you, it's good for me, it's good for the audience, it's good for everybody.
Of course. Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to disappoint my fellow Bulgarians, but I've never felt there is a contradiction between those two things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people tell on the television or everywhere that it's a contradiction.
Yeah.
You have to choose. You
Yeah.
want to be European, which is bad,
Yeah.
or you want to be a Bulgarian, which is good.
Yeah. Probably there is a lot of discussion at the moment in Bulgarian media because you just changed as well, like somehow the currency.
The currency,
Yeah.
yeah, the currency. A lot of people think that it's a traitorous act,
Yeah.
which is other great countries like Germany gave up their currency.
Yeah. I mean, definitely there is a very interesting, which is still preserved, no? As you are saying, that you can like just take a train or a flight and go from Germany to Italy and you see a very different culture. probably from here, and you go somewhere and as well close by, and it's a very different culture, but you can still somehow use the same currency, right?
Yeah.
The same,
Yeah.
I don't know, mobile network, roaming, and everything. There are many things that are extremely positive and very nice that you can just like go around. I think, and still, I think I share with you the same sentiment. I don't think that there should be a contradiction between
Yeah,
having a
because
European identity and a local as well
if
identity.
we want to have some chance to be like the United States, we need big companies as
Yeah,
well. Because if they have their AI, for example, and they decide that they will not allow other countries to use it,
yeah,
if it gets so good that it's really an advantage, they might say, "Oh, we don't want
of course,
other countries to have this
of
advantage. Only
course, yeah,
Americans will have this advantage." And then what Bulgaria is going to do as big AI as Google?
of course, yeah, yeah, yeah,
No, Bulgaria cannot do it.
yeah. Even
But the European Union might be able to do it.
yeah, yeah. Even on a smaller scale, I mean, if you look, not smaller scale, but even outside of AI, like you look at Meta, no, Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, the how it's being used, for marketing, for comedy and everything. It's scary to an extent for me because this is how I am somehow promoting the shows. It's scary because anything could happen in 1 year or 2 years between
Yeah.
the US, and it was like, okay, no, maybe prices would be different for outside of Europe customers, and or we should shut it down or something like that. And you're like, the whole model and so many industries are just dependent on what the US is offering and
Yeah.
being open to offer. Yeah, I think I think politically there is like a probably like a also like a major somehow issue of how to manage that. No, we look at the crisis now, what's happening with the US. Until now, it's very unfortunate that what you are saying. No, we should develop these things like on a European scale. There isn't still a very strong willingness to push for something like that,
Mhm.
which is strange to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is even a push in the other direction to break down the whole thing and to,
Of course, and one of the I think like the biggest critiques that one could give, the let's say that side that says that okay, we don't want to lose the identity and etc. of this individual, let's say, unit, is that we are already in a very globalized world, right? So this all the services that we are using from that perspective are American. Why is that a bigger problem or a less of a problem than saying we want to do it on the European scale,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have a say in Europe and we don't have a say in the American.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah. And how do you like it? The change. Are you happy with the change that you made in your life? That
Ca-
you came to Europe? That you're a European citizen?
Yeah. Yeah.
everything?
I mean, do you mean to live in Europe or
To live
yeah?
in Europe and
Yeah.
to
I mean, I'm very, very happy about it. It's just like a very, um, it's nice to have again that exposure. I don't know. I think I would call myself probably European. Yeah, what you are mentioning, and to have that exposure to different cultures, being able to just like go 200 kilometers on one direction, and then you find a different language. You share many different things as well that you can somehow connect with, but at the same time you have exposure to a slightly different way of life, and this is like somehow
yeah.
pretty cool.
And you came to Bulgaria last year, and you're coming now again.
Yeah,
Last year we used the Bulgarian currency, and now we use the
it's
euro.
so true. And
Is it much easier for you now?
100%? Yes, I don't have to somehow calculate.
Yeah.
So that I noticed the first thing is in the taxi, so I took a taxi from the airport to the hotel, and I remember the first time that I was here, I was like looking at every time I was like having my phone, and I'm like, okay, how much is whatever this and that. Whereas now it's directly there, and it's much easier to navigate, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good, good. Thank you for coming. Thank you for doing this
No,
podcast with
thank you very
me.
much for the
And
invite.
yeah, I hope you have a nice day. This time you have more time in Bulgaria, so I hope you can experience some more cultural things. And
Definitely. I mean, yeah, different having different
we're
shows in
going to
different cities. Yes,
Plovdiv,
yes,
Haskovo, and Sofia.
yeah.
So yeah, thank you once again, and thank you guys for watching this podcast. You can write your comments under the podcast, and yeah, good.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
man.
much. Thank you, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.